Hey, hey,
Are we on?
should be on now. Thinking, I'm still trying to figure this out right now, so a little behind. Try to get this audio on. I'm not hearing anything right now. Can y'all hear me? All right. What about you, Mr. Keith? Can you hear me? All right. We hear you. All right. Chat hears me. I don't think Mr. Keith can hear me quite yet.
Are we on now? Can y'all hear me?
Oh, yep. I can hear you now.
I don't hear you, Jace.
You don't hear me? Try to figure this out real quick.
How about there?
Can you hear me?
Yep. Yep.
All right. Okay.
We made
Well,
it.
we,
Woo!
we did it. Yep. It took me a little bit past the start time, but still figuring it out here.
Cool.
Still trying to figure out how to pin comments and stuff. Okay. I had the link up there, but I don't think I pinned it.
Yeah, and you have to pin it over in YouTube. You can't pin it in StreamYard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it helps if you have two monitors when you're hosting a chat. It's not required, but you could have StreamYard and YouTube up on one screen. You just have to make sure you mute the sound on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. No
But
picture
yeah,
or sound is what they're saying in the chat.
yeah, so in the YouTube chat, you can just go right beside the comment that you want to pin and click on the little three little dots, and it gives you the
Uh-huh.
choice to pin it.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Mr. Clay says there's no picture or sound, so not sure what's going on.
That was earlier. I think we're okay now. I've got it up on another screen. It looks like
Oh,
we're
yeah. I wasn't caught up in the chat yet.
yeah.
Okay. There we go.
I think we're okay now.
Alrighty. Well, I think we're waiting on a few more people to show up. Um, but how's it going down your way as of right now?
It's kind of dark, but aside from that, it's hot. It's dark and
Oh yeah.
hot.
Oh yeah.
But um, the bees were wide open today. We've had a few little showers the past couple of days, and that always lights them up. Um, I'm sure it put a little nectar back in some of the. We got mimosa, some sumac, some sourwood blooming. So yeah, the ladies were wide open. I went up late this evening. They were doing a few orientation flights. So yeah, they're doing well. It's going to be a very hot week though.
Oh yeah.
I imagine it's going to be toasty down your way too.
I think it's supposed to be pretty hot. We're supposed to be hitting at least 100. I think
Yep.
in this week. But the good thing is we've had rain for the past, I want to say 3 days in a row. Maybe not three. Off and on showers, not anything crazy, but when they do shower, it's downpours. But I'm sure that'll get dried up this week pretty soon.
Oh yeah. It even after it comes a good rain, when that sun comes out and the top little bit of water boils off and just makes everything a lot more humid, but then it's back dry pretty quick.
Hmm. Yeah,
We're
right now we got crepe myrtles, the pink ones. They're in full bloom right now. But the white ones, they're starting to die down and turn into the little balls that they make, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, White clover's starting to fade away. It's not really I mean, there's a few, but there's not much of it left. Mimosa's still popping pretty good. It looks like, um, and that's pretty much all I know of right now that's bloomed. But yeah,
Yeah, the clover usually does pretty good all through the summer as long as it's got water. If it dries out, it'll turn brown on you pretty quick. We
hmm
had that happen last year. Um, Late in the season, it kind of just went away. But
I cut the
we,
grass recently to try to spread some of the seeds out and knock the brown ones off and keep the good ones going.
yeah, if you got enough rain, every time they turn brown, you can mow them down and they come back, white again. So, but you got to have the water for that to work.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of crepe myrtles blooming around here yet. There's a few blooming. Um, It'd be interesting down your way to stand out there and stare at the trees. It seems like around here, crepe myrtles are kind of hit and miss for the bees. It seems like I don't know if it's because of the different colors. The bees see red as black, so we've got a red one and a pink one, and they really don't seem to mess with them a whole lot. But then I hear from some folks that say, "Oh, I've got one, and it's just covered up with bees." But don't I don't know if it's color related or just what else is blooming at the time related.
Yep.
So
Well,
you'll
I
have to
know
you'll have to
I know
stare.
there's some on our pink ones that are over here, but like I said, the white ones they're starting to fade, turn into their little I don't know what they're called, the little balls that they make
Yeah,
or
I know what
whatever.
you're talking about. Yeah.
And they were on them a bunch when the white ones were like full bloom. Like I could tell, I could just see them kind of up at the top of it, just flying
Mhm.
around up there.
Yeah.
And when I hit the power line with the ball, and a bunch of bees started flying because it hit the tree whenever it was moving,
Huh.
and so a bunch of bees started flying. So I was like, well, I guess that's a good sign. But
Yeah.
then they kind of started to fade. I see a few on the pink ones, but not nearly as much as the white ones. So it's probably
Mhm.
because, like you said, they probably see it as a dark color. It's hard for them to
Yeah.
find.
I think the color has something to do with it, but the mimosas are still pretty wide open around here in the sumac. I don't know if you have any sumac down your way or not.
I'm
That
not totally sure. I'm
might be
not.
something you
I
can look
try to
into.
look into the flowers that are near me, but I'm a lot of times too lazy to look into it, and it turns into I just know the basic ones.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's something you can. I stare at the trees and the flowers a lot more than I used to, so always trying to figure out what the ladies will be on next. But we're getting close to the dearth. Once what's blooming now is over with, there's not a whole lot going on until goldenrod. Now I did see somebody post some pictures where goldenrod was already blooming. I think it was in Tennessee, and it was way early. So the way this season's been, who knows? Who knows?
yep. It looked like in some of your shorts you're posting. I mean, you've had a flow for a while. Even whenever it dies down, you still got a bunch of bees flying.
Yeah, yeah. They've there was only a few days where they started gathering on the landing board and kind of washboarding, like a bunch of bored honeybees do when they don't have anything else to do. But that didn't last for a few days. That was right after the tulip poplar got through blooming. But then they started flying again. So um, yeah, the flow it's nothing like the poplar, but it's still the supers. They're getting some honey in them. So I'm going to leave them on until I guess until the mimosa fades, and then I'll probably do another pull and see what I got. I mean, I know I probably got 20 supers out there right now of honey, but that sounds like a lot. But I think I've got around 65 supers on right now. So that's about a third of them, which that'd be fine. I mean, I'm not complaining a bit. It's been a good year. So
Did you have a
but,
lot of big producing hives this year? I guess for
oh yeah,
honey.
yeah, yeah. I had a few that you always have a few that shine. Um, out of I had supers on 20 hives this year, so I guess I'll call them my production hives. But some of them I didn't get, but you know, 30 or 40 pounds of honey off of them, and then some of them I got well over 100 pounds, 140, 150 pounds. So um, you always have your your curve, good ones and bad ones. I just look for that average. My average right now is probably around 100 pounds a hive. So um, that's
To me,
I'm
that seems great, but I'm sure
well pleased.
to more experience, that's I don't know how that looks to more experienced beekeepers, but sounds good, especially if you have a good little bit of hives.
Yeah, I mean, I'm blessed around here. We've obviously got a lot of forage that the bees like. Um, most of my honey comes from the poplar trees, and we got a bazillion poplar trees. And I'm here, along a creek with a bunch of springs. So even with the drought, they've obviously had some water. So the bees were still able to get quite a bit of nectar out of them. So yeah, yeah, not bragging at all. We're just blessed here. We'll take it and be happy.
Oh yeah, for sure. Still trying to get some emails going right quick, but yeah, the title of it right now is "What is the best way to start beekeeping?" And it kind of has something to do with one of your recent lives that you did. If I restarted my apiary, this is what I do.
Right.
Kind of goes hand in hand with that one. But I'm gonna see if we can't try to dumb it down, I guess, for way less, like just getting into beekeeping beginners type of stuff. Um, Not even dumb it down, really. Just I guess go into more detail. It was a great chat, the one you did. Was it 2 weeks ago?
Uh, yeah, I believe that's right. It's hard to keep up with them, but yeah, couple 3 weeks. So, but yeah, I mean that's a good topic. Um, whenever when we were having that chat, we went all over the place with it, but one of the first places, and I had a previous chat where we talked about when somebody approaches you and say, "I want to be a beekeeper," what do you tell them? What do you do? So the the best way I tell them to start beekeeping. I just had a fella this week asking about if it was too late in the year to buy bees and get a hive started. And I told him, I asked him if he'd had bees before, and he said, "Yeah, but they died." So I told him, best thing he could do, in my opinion, was to start doing research this year and think about buying bees in the spring. Don't, because if he buys bees right now and right before you go into the dearth, he's going to end up having to feed them all the way into fall to keep them going. So that's not the greatest way to set somebody up, uh, a new beekeeper. So
Right.
everything's a lot things are a lot easier in the spring. So when
Yeah, I
it's
remember
well,
I was trying to buy my first package, and I was asking about my first package in May. I was calling everybody and like, "Hey, do y'all have a package?" And they were like, "Nope, we're all out for the year. Nope, we're all out for the year." And I was like, "Oh my
yeah,
goodness, do you have to pre-order these things?"
yeah,
And finally, I found somebody from Georgia, Rossman Apiaries. You ever heard of them?
yeah, yeah.
And they said they had some left, and so it was actually compared to all the other prices, not terrible. I think it ran me about 117 plus tax. So I mean, it wasn't terrible. And they came in the post office, got them the day they got here, and put them in the same day.
Hmm.
And I mean, it wasn't 2 months later they all left, but it was a good learning experience for sure.
Mm,
One, you don't buy your bees that late in the season if you're going to get a
mm.
package. And two, you need to take better care of your bees when you first get them and do more research before you get bees. Um,
Yeah,
and so that was a good learning moment right there.
yeah.
And
It can
then
be an expensive learning moment.
oh yeah, that's for sure. But yeah. So what do you think on nukes? How late into the season do you think you can go and get a nuke?
If it's a new beekeeper, which that's I guess that's what we need to stay on topic. What's the best way to start beekeeping? So we're assuming starting beekeeping means you're a new beekeeper. Um, I like earlier in the season the better. To get the ladies established. While a flow's going on. You obviously got to get them out of the. If they come in a 5-frame nuke, which I'm assuming that's what yours came in, the ones that you ordered. You're putting them into a probably a 10-frame box, 8-frame box, um, one box to start with. Um, but then you go back to you get into all the variables. Do you have any drawn comb? Well, if you're a new beekeeper, you probably don't have drawn comb. You got some foundation that you maybe put some extra wax on, which that's great. So there, Clay popped in and said early spring. Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree with that. But as long as you can get it while there's still a strong flow going on, while you ladies can build up some before the dearth, I think you'll be in pretty good shape. That's going to depend on where you're located, obviously. The dearth's going to come at different times for different people. Some places don't have dearths. Uh, when you go down south, different areas, even some places up north, they have constant blooming where they really don't have a dearth. So, um, but
Right.
still, everything is easier in the spring. So that would be my easy answer. You get it as early as you can within reason.
Yeah. And that's kind of how I was thinking you should do. But I mean, obviously, I'm still new into beekeeping, but I think I would say July probably is the latest you should get one, I guess. And that's because you still have some bloom, unless it's a terrible summer like it is here. You
Yeah,
usually still have some bloom, and you have a little bit of time to work with. You're not
yeah,
necessarily rushing. You have a little bit of time that you can kind of get
yeah.
right.
Not a whole lot. If I got one in July, I would definitely tell them be prepared to feed. You know, that would kind of be part of the equation. What kind of feeder you're going to use. You need to go ahead and buy some sugar. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's just something else you got to do.
And are you
For
doing a thicker ratio the later you get into the season?
mm, in the summer, no. I would never use a thicker ratio really until unless I started feeding into fall, going into winter. When I'm really wanting them to pick up weight quick. Um, really to me the light syrup, 1-to-1. They're still going to store part of that, but it's still kind of an energy drink to keep them stimulated because you want to get your foragers rolling so they start bringing in the good stuff, the pollen and everything that you need for brood. So no, I'd still be 1-to-1 this time of year. Just for the nuke. I'm getting ready to when I pull my supers off, I'm gonna be putting some um, boxes of foundation on to draw some comb out for next year, and that's going to probably be about zero point 0.7, 0.8 to 1. Even lighter syrup, because that'll really be more of a energy drink for the bees, stimulate them into making comb. So, oh,
Oh,
where'd you go? There you go.
okay. Alrighty. Yeah, I didn't know if you were trying to feed a little bit thicker later to kind of get them to make it honey, I guess. I don't really know how that would work. That's probably, I don't know. I figured you might feed them thicker later so that way, it can be easier for them to turn it into honey, I guess.
Well, well, thicker later is kind of what you do because I've kind of found out that when I feed 2-to-1, uh, that's 2 parts sugar, 1 part water. It almost seems like it's a 1-to-1 ratio as far as if I feed a hive 20 pounds of syrup, that hive will gain about 20 pounds. It's almost like uh, they store all of the 2-to-1 that you feed them. Where a lighter syrup, they're going to store some of that, but they're also going to burn part of it. They're going to use part of it just for feed. as they go. So, so yeah, it's just according to what you're shooting for. But for a newbie, you don't need to make things too complicated. Early is good.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's easier in the spring.
Mm-hmm. And for a new beekeeper, do you think they should go with a nuke probably over a package for their first bees?
Oh yeah, yeah, that one I'm pretty. You know, beekeepers have lots of different opinions, but I think on that one, I think most of you beekeepers are going to say for a new beekeeper, a nuke is the way to go. Um, for a seasoned beekeeper that's got drawn comb, a package is easy. You dump the package in a box of drawn comb and give them a little bit of food, and here we go. The queen can immediately start laying, and you're off to the races. But if they've got to, if you dump them in a box of foundation, they've got to draw out that comb before the queen can ever do anything. So, you're wasting several days there, where the queen's just cruising around and really can't do anything. And your bees are just getting older. so, yeah,
Especially
I
too,
think
like
for
I did, and get them in later May when there's
mm,
not a huge flow going on either. You got to
yeah,
be feeding and feeding, and I
yeah,
think that's why they left. Is because I don't think I was feeding them enough. I
yeah,
was
you got to.
just doing one of them little entrance feeders that you get, and I don't think that was enough.
Yeah, if they don't have drawn comb and there's no flow and you're not feeding, that's kind of a triple whammy. That's hard for them to do anything. They'll but age out and die. So uh, so yeah, I would definitely a new beekeeper would go with a just a normal 5 frame nuke.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know I've been yapping, but I'm gonna try to get it into the actual stuff I wanted to kind of talk about in this live stream.
Oh, you're doing good.
So, um, as of hive, I know there's a few different hives you can get: horizontal hive, Langstroth, national, for just getting your bees going, I guess, and for kind of all around best use. What do you think the best hive is for a new beekeeper getting their first bees?
Well, I think they need to go with something standard. Go with the Langstroth 8 frame or 10 frame. Don't really care about that, but go with something standard that uses standard size frames. Um, kind of the reason, my reason in there is, especially if you've got a mentor, um, it's very nice if your equipment matches up with your mentor's equipment so that if they want to help you, they can easily bring you a frame. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if you jump into it and you decide you want a top bar hive or one of the other weirder configurations, and then the guy helping you is going to have or the lady helping you is going to have a lot harder time helping you because they don't have the same thing that you've got. So, so yeah, I always recommend this. You can get fancy later on once you learn what you're doing. If you want a flow hive or a top bar or a long hive or whatever, whatever. But learn how to beekeep first. And the easiest way to do that is just in an old Langstroth box.
Right. And I feel like that's the most popular too. So I think it's a lot easier to get stuff because most
Mm.
local bee shops, that's what they're carrying.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like we got a bee shop right here in our town, and I don't know that I've ever seen anything other than a Langstroth stuff in there
Mm.
for anything else. So
Yeah,
I think it's a lot easier to find stuff and go to your local bee shop and find stuff for a
yeah.
Langstroth.
And back to your, did you check with them before you bought your nukes to see if there was anybody around your area selling nukes?
So I got my first bees. They brought a nuke. And I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I think I was like 10 at the time, maybe 11. And
Mm.
I was just wanting bees because they seemed cool.
Right.
And I wasn't trying to do anything. I wasn't looking into them. I wasn't researching
Mhm.
anything. They brought them and they left within a few weeks. And it was pretty interesting to see two hives are gone just like that. And
Hmm.
so yeah, but that is all that I remember from that hive was it was a nuke.
Yeah, yeah. If you got, if a new beekeeper, if they have a local dealer that's kind of a source of information for them. Hey, wow, everybody's here now. Hey guys, that's a
Hello.
good source of information. Especially if you're wanting to get a local stock. I've got my local nuts around here. Um, a lot of people think that's the best way to go. I'm kind of lean towards it, but obviously folks have different queens from different areas and do just great with them. But yeah, use your local resources, whether it's a local keeping supply company or a local club. That's you need to get involved with that to have some folks around your area you can talk to. And we lost Jay.
Uh-oh, where'd he go? Where'd the host
There
go?
he is. There he is.
There he is.
How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Yeah, doing well.
Bruce, you're probably still sticky.
Oh man, I don't know. I've been sticky. I've been rained upon. I've been wet. It's just been sweaty, hot.
Yeah,
Were
it
you
looked like
pulling
that first
supers in the
weekend
rain?
What's that?
looked like it was a little tough that first.
Oh man, it's
Yeah.
been. I'm glad it's over.
I kept watching the radar and seeing the storms just keep rolling through there.
They sure did.
Yeah, I'm like, oh man, they're not.
I
They're
tell
not.
people, I say, if you can imagine what it's like, if what messing with bees in the rain, you're right.
I'm sure they were glad to see you.
Yeah, they definitely had a welcoming party for us for sure.
Did it include all the venom you wanted?
Yeah, we got plenty of venom therapy for sure.
That's
Man,
always
it was
fun.
nuts. Yeah,
I've pulled supers in the rain before.
Yeah, even Friday, it was supposed to be a nice day, and I had a young kid that helped me pull. I had to get the rest of it off Friday, and had a young kid help me, and we got the honey pulled, and it wasn't raining yet, but we got a little ways out of the bee yard, probably about a 30-minute drive or 35-minute drive to the honey house, and it started raining. So we got out, tarped the honey, and drove it down, unloaded it in the rain. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. And then I think since then, I don't know if it's rained a drop, but it's like I told my buddy Rusty, I said, I mean, wherever I am, there's going to be a rain cloud if I'm messing with bees. That's how it's been the last couple of weeks. It's been nuts, but anyway, we survived. And anyway,
It is in the bucket. It is in the buckets. Now, have you
it
got
is in
all
the
of it?
buckets.
You got all of it off now, or you still got to go
Yeah,
back?
I'm done. I don't want to do a thing else, but I have to. We got to get the boxes stored and all that stuff. But the honey, I don't want to see like. I'm just the bee. I told someone today, I'm like, the bees get a couple of weeks off, and I get a couple of weeks off now. I don't know if I'm going to get in them for a couple of weeks. I think I need to get treatments on them, but that's going to be a couple 3 weeks down the road. Where they can just wait.
Yeah,
I think I heard a bah humbug in there somewhere.
They are, man. They are bearded. Some of them are covering the entire front of the hives, though. But it's been a weird year. I didn't mean to, Jace, take over your live here.
Oh no,
it's not about my honey. It's not about my honey. But
that's why I wanted people on here have a good,
crazy
conversation to help me get through this because I am still trying to figure this out.
Well, Jace, why don't you tell? I mean, you may have already talked to Keith a little bit, but tell me a little bit about yourself. I didn't know about your channel until you invited me. So tell me how old you are. Tell me how long you've been doing YouTube. Tell me how long you've been keeping bees, and just introduce yourself a little bit to the three of us.
Mm-hmm. I am 14-year-old beekeeper from North Carolina, and I've been attempting to be beekeeping for about 3 years, I guess, maybe total. Probably closer to 2. I would say 2. Definitely 2. But been trying to beekeep for 2 years, but I've had my first through winter hive this year, and so that was the first year I've gotten a hive through winter was this year, and hopefully I can get it to get some more hives, get growing a little bit, and I think I'd want about 20 maybe max. And yeah, that's just about my story. It's not much, but I've killed a lot of beehives. Let's just say that. And it took me a while to get my first one through winter. So
Well, that's exciting. How are they doing?
honestly, not good. They have EFB, but Mr. Clay, he's paid me 2 visits so far, and this last one he came and brought some treatments for them, and we're getting them figured out. And they've been flying a bunch today. So
Where are you at in North Carolina? My daughter lives in Sanford. Her husband's in the military.
a little south Raleigh. We're about 30 minutes from Raleigh.
You know where Sanford is?
I think so. Yeah.
That's pretty. Keith, isn't that pretty close to? Sanford's not far from Raleigh. That pretty close to where he's at.
Y'all wouldn't be too far apart. Sanford would be kind of just west of you.
Okay.
So Sanford's kind of south of Siler City, if you know where that is. So, but yeah, it should be pretty close to just west of where you're at.
Okay. Well, we're going to be, my daughter is up there. Her husband's at Fort Bragg. Now he's in the Middle East. Now he's deployed, but we're actually going to be coming over to visit next weekend. Actually going to be up in Sanford. So visiting my daughter. So we won't be too far from you. But anyway, yeah, well, that's a cool story. And I'm impressed that you're so young and you're doing this. There's some other young beekeepers out there. I know you probably are familiar with some of them that have done some good things. And it just takes a while to get it figured out, especially if you're doing it by yourself. And it sounds like you got a mentor, but are your parents and family involved, or are you just trying to tackle it yourself?
All me. I've taught them some stuff about bees, but yeah, I'm the only one in my family who's even know much about bees.
Well, that's cool, man. I would just definitely continue to lean on your mentor and be sure and reach out to these groups, communities, and have you thought about going to the Honeybee Expo and being a part of their youth program? You heard about that?
I have. I think I'm gonna sign up for the Next Gen program, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna be going this year. So, also, Michael at 21st Bee, he just mentioned about the summer clinic. Should be going to that one too. So,
well, good. Yeah, you just gotta. Biggest thing is hook up with other people and get involved with the community, because it's hard to do it on your own. And I couldn't have done what I did without a good mentor and good people around me. And started off with just local people, but then I kind of latched into the YouTube community. And I've a lot of things I do. I've learned from folks like Keith and Tom and many others out there. Mike Berry. Just so many people. My equipment, I get it from Greg Burns. So it's just the community has been real helpful. But if you got some people that are locally that can kind of help you figure it out. I know Keith is a ways away from you, but maybe not too far. Maybe he can give you some North Carolina advice up there in that area. So it sounds like you're doing the right things to get it. And you just can't. It sounds like you're doing the right thing, though, because it's easy to get frustrated and discouraged when you lose bees. I still get discouraged with it, but now I got so many it doesn't bother me too bad. I wouldn't mind having a few less. So. Actually, this year I made a bunch of splits, and I actually had. I'm like, I don't need any more. So I actually combined some of my wicker colonies. I just took some of those nukes and just stuck them in the box. Like I had them in double deeps. I just pulled 5 frames out of the weaker colonies that I had that were in double deeps. So I just took pulled 5 frames out of the middle of some of those second deeps and just stuck the nuke in there on top and let them duke it out to figure out which one was going to be the better one. And some of those have done real well. That worked really well. Some of them, maybe not so much, but most of them actually are much, much stronger now because I did that. So just little tricks like that you'll learn that maybe with just one colony you don't want to do, but if you get up to where you have quite a few, you can learn some little tricks like that they don't teach you in the books, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The bees don't read the books, do they, guys? I mean, the bees just don't read the books. They don't, the books tell you, the big books are really good for basics. They're really good for, but simple basic stuff, bee biology, the queen does this and that, and they give you really good suggestions. But really the best way to learn about bees is to just have bees and get in them and learn, and then have people who have living bees that have bees that survive and learn from them.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And also these bee chats, I mean, they've been insanely helpful. That's everything I pretty much have has come from these bee chats and all the nice people in them. And I mean, it's taught me a bunch of stuff. And again, a bunch of people have helped me out, and it's. I will say this. I've said it, I think, a bunch, but I'll say it again. The beekeeping community is the nicest and best community I've ever even seen, heard of, and been a part of. And it's, I mean, it shows in every single one of the bee chats that you see. And it's amazing how helpful the community really is of beekeeping.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a pretty good group of folks that love them little bugs in a box.
I've never seen Tom so quiet before.
Oh, I haven't eaten in 3 days, so I'm a little bit sluggish.
He said he lost 10 pounds in the last few days. That's not good.
I'm a little lethargic and sluggish right now. Melissa's working on down in Tennessee. Actually, she just finished it today. Some extended honey show training type stuff that they have implemented recently, which is down near that, pretty close to Nashville, actually. So she's down there doing that. So I've been huffing it here by myself the last few days. And I'm
So I see what you're saying. Now you haven't eaten.
Well, that don't mean you have to starve.
Man,
I've
just
just been busy doing stuff. That's all.
throw you some peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, no, there's plenty of food in here. We did a little bit of cooking, but
throw you some peanut butter and jelly together.
Yeah, there's always something here. We can figure it out.
So and Jason, I don't want to co-opt your thing here, but I do want to say I tried the 21st Bee Infinity frames, the cut comb frames, and actually had some success with them. I ended up with 52 by 4 cut combs, and they're not all perfect, but they're just going to have to do. A lot of them they're all real pretty. And then what I did, and I've never done this before, I've never done chunk comb. I've never really done cut comb before. I did buy those little 2 by 4 inch containers, and they're kind of expensive, but I bought those and put it in there. And I'm going to get actually the little cookie cutter thing next year that makes them perfect, because I was trying to cut them out with a knife, but they're so rare around here. You don't see them much. So I think they'll sell. The place where Appleton Farms, where I sell most of my honey, they're going to buy them all from me and just resell them. Last year I took simple comb there, and they sold out really fast. And I think these will be as good or better as far as because they just look bigger, But that was kind of fun. I was a little disappointed because I have 2 boxes worth, but I got 50 2 by 4s. So it's just 25, basically 4 by 4s out of them, 50 2 by 4 cut combs. And some of them are a little thinner than others. They don't all weigh the same, but they're pretty. And then and one thing, I don't know what you guys think about this, but I took, the ones that weren't perfect, I got 2 by 4 out of some of the ones that weren't completely filled. And I just cut them out and put them in the containers. And then kind of the scraps that were left over, there's a lot of comb that was left over. I'm like, what can I do with this? And so I basically just put it in jars and poured honey over it. And it's not pretty like true chunk comb, but I mean, I think it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And so hopefully people will buy that. And I've only got 7 of those, but all the stuff that scraps, I just put in jars and poured honey over it. So, it wouldn't win a show, but man, it's actually got more comb in it, more cut comb in it. And
yeah,
I think we'll see if it sells, it sells. If not, but I'm excited about that. I tried the simple comb again. It just didn't work very well for me this year. The cut comb, the regular standard comb, I may just kind of gravitate towards that. I love the 21st Bee cut comb frames though, because they're perfect. You just cut them, you can run them along the sides, and I'm going to maybe get another box or 2 of those. But if you do 2 by 4s, that's enough for what, 80 of those things, which is 2 supers worth. And even if you charge, $8 or $10 a piece for them, that ends up being a lot of money over the years. So.
Definitely.
Now, the hives that you put the cut comb supers on, is that the only supers you had, or did you make any liquid honey on those same hives?
No, I actually put them between frames of capped honey.
Okay.
I don't know will they draw them out if you just put them straight on there without any capped honey in between them? Or do you have to just, what do you do, Tom? Do you put them between frames of capped honey, or do you just stick a full box of comb honey on top and they draw them out nicely?
So I've done both ways. And I'll give you, for example, last year I had a couple of They weren't the 21st bee frames. They were just an open, shallow frame.
Sure, yeah.
Matter of fact, there's a guy that's in Tennessee. Skipper Luttrell actually makes a frame. It's a very, very narrow top bar. So basically what it is, it's a shallow, but because it has a very narrow top bar, it gives you more variance. If you're doing like a 4-inch this way, you can adjust a little bit because, the bees are always going to leave some cells unfilled and uncapped. So you're trying to get the best piece out of it. So you can adjust your 4x4 cutter just a little bit this way. So that's the cool thing about it. So what I had done is I had a few supers like that last year. And sometimes the bees will, with all that space going crossways, they'll connect them all. So I had one of the boxes was cross combed. One of them, they drew them all out perfectly. 2 different hives, same flow, similar scenarios and situations. So in order to mitigate that, what I did this year is I would pull, if they needed another super, I would pull some of those honey frames up into another box. And then I would throw, depends on which ones I did. The ones that Michael had are medium. So I was able to pull a couple of those up into another medium, slide his in there and basically checkerboard them. And they did start to draw them out very nicely. So I was able to do that. And then sometimes I can also take the open frames that we have and then checkerboard those in as well. Put it, right in the middle of where it is that they're working. And it seems to have worked really well for me, honestly. So you might get a scenario like mine where they might automatically draw it out like the book says, and then another hive will do just the opposite. So I was trying to get a better guarantee that they would draw them out really nice and pretty. So I pulled them right out of, on top of the first super on top, pulled them out, pulled them up and slid them right in there. And they already started on some 7-frame, basically nukes that I have in my backyard. We're already drawing them out with Michael's frames. I posted a couple pics and they worked out really well.
I think they do good if they start them all the same time, but I have seen, we even had one frame, like it was a regular frame that I put next to it that wasn't capped when I put the cut comb frames in there, and they had drawn it out like there was like a 4x4 square where they had drawn it out and capped it so I don't know how to do it, but anyway, it worked well, I think. And the one that drew them out the best, I put 2 frames in a box where it was just a double, like single deep with an excluder and then a super on top of it. But they had drawn, like I say, I think I had 10 frames of foundation in there. They drawn all that, capped it. I pulled 2 frames out and dropped the cut comb frames in there, and they drew them out perfectly. I don't know. Do you know, Jace, how to screen share? If I do something here, let me try this and see if you can do. This will be a good little.
I can figure it out. I'll tell you that.
We'll just try
Jason,
it here.
It'll pop up just like a guest, so you'll just click on it to get it to show it. But then you can just, if you see over there towards the right, it's got where the whole screen is one big screen.
I just popped it in there. Can you see it, Jace? Does it pop down below? Can you see it?
All right.
There it is. Go. That's one of my frames that they filled out really nice. I had 2 just like this. And the forgiving thing about the 21st Bee frames is they are a little bit, like 4 inches pretty much wide, but they're a little bit taller, maybe more like 4.5 inches tall. And for those who aren't familiar with this frame, it's got places like it's got the edge, then it's got 3 bars in the middle, so it separates it into 4 4x4 inch combs. And what I ended up doing was cutting these out as best I could with the knife. Next year, that's the knife above it. Next year, I think what I said I'm going to do is I'm just going to hopefully get the little cutters that cut in the right size. But it was just beautiful. I had 2 frames just like this. Let me see if I can pop up what they looked like when they were done. Now, once again, don't laugh at me. These aren't perfect, but these are what can y'all see that? Hold on, let me pull it over. I don't know why my screen, there it is right there. See those? It's turned out pretty good. And I got them in containers. My containers haven't showed up yet, but that's kind of what they look like. They're not all perfect, but they turned out pretty good, I think. Some of them are a little bit thinner, some a little bit, but some of them I cut out more. This may have been from the first frame or 2 that I did, maybe in the first frame, because they're all pretty nice and perfect and thick. Towards the end, some of them weren't quite as good. If you'll see the one over here, kind of on the edge right here, is a little bit not quite as perfect, but I don't think people are going to care. This is not something you see very often around here. I think people are just going to be glad to be able to have an opportunity to have some. And then here's what I did with the leftovers. If I can get it to, dang it. I don't know why it wants to pop up on my other screen over here. Pull this one over. This is the that's what it looked like when I put it in the jars. This is all the scraps that weren't the right shape, and they turned out, I thought, pretty good as well. So that's kind of what I did. Just a little show and tell here.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of fun. But I did take pictures today of the ones that are in the containers, but they haven't pulled over to my phone yet, so they're not on there. But anyway, not a big deal. I didn't want to come on here and spend a. You can, let's see, just stop sharing. There you go. That's good.
So
didn't
Bruce,
want to come on here and do show and tell. That's the
these
container.
are a container that we're using now.
Yep. That's what
Pioneer Plastics.
Yep.
Here's the information on there if it's showing up. This is a 2x4. We bought 100 and something 4x4s, and I don't remember how many 2x4s we bought, or cases. These are the really nice case. And the one thing that's kind of cool about these, actually, if I can figure out. So the lid, it's really hard to tell, but the lid actually recesses down into the box just a little bit. So it's got a really nice, in my opinion, Bruce, you were talking about, you're really looking at a premium product whenever you are selling cut comb, because it's extremely hard to get. Not every year will you get it, because the flow has to be just right. The bees have to be working things and, have read the book, obviously. But we like to use the hard plastic ones. They're a little more expensive, but
those
honestly,
are exactly like the ones I got. They look exactly like that. Mm-hmm.
They're awesome. We bought them in bulk and they shipped them to us. Matter of fact, if anybody was at Nobby this last year, I know most people in here probably were. There was a small little booth and they were doing pre-sales on them. And I don't know, they were great to work with. We placed an order and I think we got a couple boxes of them. Now I'll definitely have more that I'm going to use this year, because we have some cut comb out there, but our flow has been kind of semi-inconsistent, which is not great for that. But we'll use what we can, and hopefully next year is even a better year than this. But I really like these little cases. Like I said, you can get the 2x4s, the 4x4s, and they had other containers and things like that they were doing, but specifically this is what we were after. And I don't mind paying a little more for a premium box, because I'm going to charge people for it,
Sure. Well, I actually got them from Better Bee, I think.
Oh, okay.
And the exact same container. I mean, it looks the same, maybe in a different company, but it looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
And they were pretty expensive that way, but I could have ordered, I think, a container of 150 or 160 of them and gotten them for quite a bit cheaper. But I didn't get any 4x4 ones because I just knew I was going to have limited supply, and I didn't know how many perfect ones I would have. Because some of the ones really didn't fill them out all the way to the edges. I could cut a 2x4 out of the middle, you know what I mean? And so it just worked out pretty good that way. But
so if anybody is interested in ordering these, or you want to check them out, you can go to www.pioneerplastics.com. Pioneerplastics.com. I don't remember the gal we worked with, but she was actually very helpful, and I don't think it took very long to get them. So this is probably, and we've been ordering them for a little while. This is probably one of the cheapest places that I've found that has a very nice case. So.
Hey, you guys carry on. I'll be right back, okay?
Sure.
I'll be right back. And then I promise, Jace, we'll get to the topic of the thing tonight. I didn't mean to come in here and pull this, but we just had this big honey harvest, and it's just really on my mind right now. I'll be right back. Hold on a sec.
So, Jace, your topic is, what is the best way to start beekeeping?
Yep.
Yeah, he was kind of interviewing me before y'all got here. He's got some questions, so yeah, you can just run around the horn and ask these guys the same questions.
All right. Yeah, I was asking Mr. Clay. Well, we were just chit chatting for a while, but then I finally got into some of the questions. What, in your opinion, do you think for the first-time beekeeper is the best hive that they should get? Meaning, like, I know there's Langstroth, National, all the good stuff, horizontal hives, stuff like that. And me and Mr. Keith both agreed that we think the Langstroth, but I'm curious to hear what your opinion is.
Yeah, well, I like how you worded that, in my opinion, because it absolutely is just that. It's an opinion. Don't take it for gospel. I think you guys are spot on. I would probably say Langstroth as well. And the reason that I would say that is because it is a standard of beekeeping equipment here in the U.S. So you're going to get the most opinions from people because that's the type of hive setup that people are using the most. So they're going to have more experience. So, you can read a book all you want and see what the author's opinion is on something and such. But I don't know. The reality of it is, and I think that Bob Benny says it best, beekeeping is 50% science and 50% art. And the art part is the experience part, So, it's making the mistakes is what it is. It's trial and error. So predominantly Melissa and I have used Langstroth style. We have had a few horizontal hives, which uses the deep Langstroth style frame. And I don't have any of those running right now. I have 2 of them left. I had 3. I sold 1. I'm going to sell 1 more and keep the 3rd one. We mainly ran that as a resource hive, even though you probably could do some production. I would say if people have some disabilities as far as strength, bending over, back problems, any and all the above, a horizontal hive is a great way to go. I like that it's still a standard frame that you can remove, so there's really pros and cons to every style of hive. And honestly, you could probably even dive further down a rabbit hole and say, as a standard practice, you're looking at a single or a double deep brood box chamber, as most people are doing. Most hobbyists, I think, are probably going to run a double, and some people are going to run a single. Most commercial guys are probably going to run single because of weight, equipment, tractor trailer loading, things like that. And then generally speaking, as a general rule of thumb, people probably use mediums for their liquid extracted honey supers. But the beauty about it is you don't have to do that. You can run all mediums. You can run mediums and deeps. You can run any configuration you want, and it's just not wrong. It's just personal preference. I mean, Keith's wrong there. He runs all mediums, but you know what? I'm not throwing rocks in his corner, I mean, I'm hoping he'll get it right, but I don't know. We're working on him.
Let me show you real quick. Let me show you real quick what I got
I'm
here.
only messing with him. Yeah. So that's the beauty of it. Yeah. My opinion, I like the Langstroth style because it is a standard equipment in the U.S. But you know what? People can do whatever they want. I think there's probably pros and cons, and there's challenges to each one, and that may make it more difficult or easier in certain climates and conditions too. So, my opinion.
Yeah, and I was telling Mr. Keith, I also think that it's easier to find stuff for a Langstroth because it's the most popular.
Definitely.
And at your local bee shops and stuff, that's what they sell around here at our local bee shops mainly. I don't see a lot of horizontal stuff or national stuff. One thing I do notice is people from the UK have a lot of national hives, which was pretty strange to me.
Y'all still there? You hear me? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if Tom somehow. Oh, Jay, I think you muted yourself. Hey, let me show you something real quick. I got this.
Am I good?
This is my.
That's
my comb. Just show and tell. Y'all know I got to do that, right? Show and tell. It turned out nice. Just like same container Tom was talking about, pretty much. Maybe a different company, but same containers. And then here's the jar of chunk comb stuff I did. So it turned out nice. Anyway.
Yeah. I'm going to be doing more of that next year. I've had more requests this year for comb honey than I've probably had the previous 2 years combined. And I don't know why. I don't know where they're coming from, but every market I have somebody come up asking if I've got comb honey. So, and this year I didn't make any. I didn't. So, I've told Michael I'll see him in Winston at the North Carolina show here in a few weeks, and I'll be getting a few of those frames. So, we'll have some next year.
So, Jace, what was your main question? I'm sorry, I got sidetracked there.
I was just seeing what y'all's opinions were on kind of like the starter beehive. Which one do you think is the best, I guess, for starting beekeeping, whether it be Langstroth, national, horizontal, top bar, whatever.
Yeah, I personally, it's all Langstroth. I use deeps 10 frame deeps, and then I use mediums for honey. Of course, sometimes you end up like mixing and matching and doing this and that. So, but I would say to start, just to me, and honestly, Keith's idea, I heard Tom talking about this a little bit with the using all mediums or all deeps. If I was going to do that, I'd go all mediums just because the deeps are so dang heavy. Now, as young as you are, I do know people that do a lot of deeps, but a 10 frame deep box, what do you think it weighs, Keith? Like 80, 90 pounds, something like that.
Oh, yeah.
So
Easy.
if you got one hive, that's one thing. But if you're trying to throw around those boxes full of honey, and you got 100 colonies, that ends up being, now that some people do it, or some people have the equipment to be able to do it with forklifts and with lifters and things like that. But this year I didn't pull a single frame of deep honey from my hives. My buddy Rusty pulled I think he had 4 boxes of deep frames, but I just have to use the mediums. It's just too much to try and do all deeps. And plus the way our setup is for extracting, it just works a lot better if the frames are a consistent size. We have a uncapper now that you have to adjust, or you have to do it the old fashioned way for the opposite size. And so, but what I like to do, I like to start off with a nuke. Get you a nice strong nuke, put it in a 10 frame, put it in a 10 frame box. And if you just get started, I would say just drop those 5 frames right in the middle with 5 frames of foundation on the outside. 8 frame box, same thing, just put the extra frames in the outside. 8 frame might be a good idea too for some. I think if you did 8 frame, you could almost go all deep, so it wouldn't be as bad, because I think an 8 frame deep is not a whole lot heavier than a 10 frame medium. But then I like the double deep system. I like to let them build up into that second deep and just really get a nice brood chamber established, and then go on top of that with the mediums. But sometimes, like if I have, like the ones that made this comb honey, actually the best 2 frames of that were just single deeps that were busting. They were late splits. I slapped a queen excluder down on those and put a box on top, and they made honey. But typically I like to have my bees in 2 boxes for the brood chamber, just because it's just more forgiving that way. That's just kind of my philosophy on it. But I would start with a nuke, put them in a 10 frame box, let them fill that thing up, put them in put another 10 frame box on top, is how I do it, a deep. And then, on top of that, anything above that would be honey for us to take. That's here in Alabama. That works out well. And I condense them down. Like I had one box we just pulled honey Friday. It had 6 supers on top of it, and I condensed it all the way down to 2, and they stay in 2. I don't worry about it. There might be bees bearding over the whole box, but right now our flow is done. And so, but within what, Keith, probably 2 or 3 weeks, you won't have that bearding as much. A lot of those forages will start to die off because there's nothing coming in. And they can defend against the hive beetles that way. They can defend against pests and against honey robbing bees. They can defend against that with all that population. And so people freak out saying your bees are going to swarm. Well, they're probably not going to swarm in the summertime when it's hot and when their population is going down because there's nothing coming in. But every area is different. So you don't want to, what I'm doing here in June, people in Ohio and up north aren't doing, because they're in the middle of their flow right now. So you have to be able to judge every area is a little different. Some people have a honey flow throughout the summer, so you don't ever want to do that in some areas. But here, I just condense them way down. When the honey comes off, they're in either double deep. Some of them are deep and mediums, but they're just almost all in 2 boxes. And if they've got an extra box on, because I found a problem when I was going through them, I need to go back and reassess. Like I think 3 or 4 of the colonies had the queen upstairs, like she was up in the honey supers. And so I may have left an extra box on there for them to get it figured out and then go back and check them. But for the most part, right now, probably 140, 155s out there just in 2 boxes, either most double deeps, a few deep and mediums. Hope that answers your question.
Mm-hmm.
I do have one horizontal hive, and I'll be honest about the horizontal hive. I just don't know how to manage it. Like, it's horizontal, deep Langstroth. It's got like 30 frames in it. It's capacity 30 frames. The bees do well in it, but I've just had a hard time figuring out how to manage the honey aspect of it and all that. I didn't pull any honey off of it this year. May have some in there, but I think I'm probably going to cycle that thing out. It's actually starting to rot a little bit. I've had it for several years, starting to rot around the edges a little bit. I'm probably going to cycle that out and just put those bees in a regular Langstroth hive, because that's what I'm familiar with. That's what works best for me in my operation, and it's just easier. I think from a physical standpoint, if you want to have bees, if you have physical issues, like I think one of you guys maybe Tom was mentioning that earlier. Keith, I didn't hear the first part of the chat, but Horizontal hives, I think, are good if you do have like medical issues or back problems or physically not able to pick up heavy things. But for me, the Langstroth boxes that's just what I'm familiar with. I got 150 plus of those in one horizontal hive, and it just doesn't work real well in my operation, to be honest.
Hmm. Yeah, and I was telling Mr. Keith whenever we first kind of got on, um, when should we be getting your bees whenever you're first starting getting into beekeeping, and I think we all kind of the chat and me and Mr. Keith kind of agreed as early as you can, and in the spring whenever there's stuff for them, there's stuff blooming and they have stuff they can go get on. Um, and I asked when the latest do you think that you can get a nuke, or really just any bees, I guess. And I said, in my opinion, I think you shouldn't go past July. Um, so I was just wondering what y'all thought about that.
Yeah, that would definitely depend on the area that you're in for sure. And I would also probably add it probably depends on your experience level. Um, Not that an experienced beekeeper is a better beekeeper, but they can recognize things a little bit faster and make the corrections if necessary. Um, I know sometimes people will split like after they pull their honey, and that's great. And I think experienced beekeepers can do very well with it and such. The only thing that I'll probably add to that is I try to work with what the bees are doing. Meaning if they're not on the flow and trying to draw a comb or in the mood to do that, once you get past a certain point in time of the year, and that might be a little bit different for everybody's climate, might be a little sooner for Bruce, might be a little later for me because I'm further north. It becomes very difficult to grow bees. I mean, extremely difficult. And I never really seen the other than trial and error and such, but I never really seen the benefit in trying to push the rope up a hill. And again, not saying that it can't happen. If you already have certain assets, drawn comb, things like that, and you get a nuke in July, yeah, you can probably get it done. You're going to feed a lot, and it's going to cost you more to do that because you don't have any incoming or as many incoming resources that you might otherwise have in your area. But that really is going to depend upon location specific. If you're in an area that constantly has nice flows, pollens, things like that, this is probably going to be easier for you. But like I said, I don't know. We've done some in June. I try not to do any in July and August at that point. We'll throw extra boxes on and see if they have anything left in them. Maybe put a little feed on them and try to draw out some additional combs or at least get it started. Because we use wooden frames, plastic foundations. If you can get them to start drawing on it and just draw a little bit on it, that's golden because at that point, next year you throw those combs in and they just blow them out. So, I think there's a lot of variables, but yeah, that's my opinion.
What do you think, Keith?
Yeah, we talked a little bit
I'll talk about
before
it
y'all
later.
got on here, and I said pretty much the same thing Tom did. When Jace threw out the July, I was like, if you do July, I'd go ahead and ask them what kind of feeders they're going to buy too.
Yeah.
So,
For sure, yeah.
When you get your new, get a feeder.
Down here, you can honestly start like in February, March. I made a bunch of splits in February here. I actually sold most of my nukes in March here, but I have access to mated queens. I've got kind of a hookup with Zach out in Hawaii. And so if you can get queens in here, mated queens in mid to late February, you can split like crazy here. And it actually does good because the colonies are building up so quickly. But you got to feed then because in March, we usually have a little bit of a dearth. But I tell people, first of all, I tell them, whether there's package, I've never gotten a package, whether there's nukes or package, I recommend people start with 2 to 4 colonies, because if you have 2 to 4 colonies, then you can compare them to each other and know if one's doing well or not. And obviously, if you're in North Dakota and you're watching what's happening in Alabama and you see how my hives look in February or March, yours aren't going to look like that. So you got to get, it's best if you don't want to compare necessarily to people in other parts of the country how their hives are doing, because yours are going to look different throughout the year probably, but especially at the same time of the year. So I say get 1 to 2 colonies or get 2 to 4 colonies preferably. And I would recommend, I personally like nukes better. I've never really done packages. I think packages are fine if you feed the heck out of them. You got to feed nukes too sometimes, but I wouldn't get them. I would say here in this area, March, April is the best time. April and May here are just like heaven for bees. I mean, you get about early to mid-April through about probably the second week of June. It's just phenomenal. The best time though to grow bees here is like really from early to mid-April through most of May. And then they do start to breed back a little bit, even though there's a flow going. I think they can sense sometimes that it's about to be over. And by the time we pull honey off, which we did the last couple of weeks, they're starting to really breed back. There's not a lot of breeding there, partially because they probably are a little bit honey bound. But secondly, I think they just sense it and they're starting to kick drones out and stuff. I think you don't see as many drones now. But to try and start bees right now here is just not advisable. I think you can do it if you are willing, like you say, Keith, just got your feeders ready. You feed them constantly, but it's just tough. And then we do have a little window, actually, believe it or not, in the fall, like September, October. My commercial beekeeping buddy, Tyler Walker, he makes a bunch of splits and even uses cells some like in September here, October, because we have a decent fall flow lots of times. And he has good success with that. But because believe it or not, the drone population goes up a little bit in the fall here because the conditions just get good for it again. But it's short-lived. There's a pretty small window on that. You got to know what you're doing here to do that. And I don't know how it is in other parts of the country. So most of what I do. I'm done by now. Most of it now is survival, treating and getting them ready for winter. I will make a few splits in the summertime probably. I'll bring queens in for Hawaiian-mated queens. I won't try to make my own queens. I usually don't do that anyway. I won't try to get cells. I'll just get queens from my buddy in Hawaii. They get cheap later in the year. And I may make some splits. I may replace some weak queens. But as far as like trying to really grow and expand and expect a hive to do a lot this year, it's tough after about right now. And then you got to feed that. You just got to feed the heck out of them, especially if you want them to draw out some comb. But there's just really not a lot coming in now. So I like to leave my colonies alone for the most part right now, unless I'm treating, and just let them utilize the resources. That's one reason I leave 2 boxes. So they have the resource to go get until the fall flow. So I don't have to be feeding them all summer long. If I split them, though, then I have to feed them. You know what I mean? So that's why I don't like to do a ton after this point in time. If they start crashing on me, though, if I start seeing colonies crashing, which happens, July, August, September here, I would say are the toughest months for us. If I have some hives that start crashing out or feel like I need to replace some queens, I'll definitely do a few splits here or there. But that's not my goal. My goal right now is not to grow. My goal right now is to kind of just leave them alone, let them be bees, and just manage pests and treat and make sure they have enough food and weight to get through.
Yeah. So I guess we can do another question kind of thing. Tools. What tools, I guess, do y'all think are necessary to say, all right, I have bees, I can work, do inspections, and have what I need to do an inspection and do it with the least amount of tools and least amount of cost?
Keith, go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking about if I'm going to go inspect a few hives, I've got my whatever PPE I'm going to wear, bee suit, veil, gloves, whatever I think I need, smoker and a hive tool, and I'm ready to go. I try to tell new beekeepers, don't go on Amazon and buy the 400-piece beekeeper starter kits with, Lord, everything from fondue makers to they got stuff I don't even know what it is, but it's stuff that you don't need. There's other little things, a clean clip, a brush, but man, really, smoker and a hive tool and your protective gear, you can do a lot of stuff with those few items.
Yeah, I fell into that trap whenever I first started. I bought one of those old packs. I was like, oh, it's got everything I'm going to need. I don't use 90% of the stuff that came in that pack. No. I use, like you said, my smoker, occasionally, my hive tool, and my PPE, all my wear, and that's about it.
Clay's got over there glasses. If I'm gonna be looking for brood, I'll throw my my bifocals on so I can see something. If I'm just if I'm just looking for cat brood or seeing how much honey's in there, I won't throw my glasses on. I don't need my glasses for that. But you know.
Yeah, I mean, you can get by with just besides the bee equipment itself, the bees, you can get by with it. And I would say in the heat, I would say just get a nice jacket, man. Don't get the cheap stuff. Get you a ventilated jacket. You know, you can get it from Guardian Bee. You can get a $99 pullover one. That's a really nice ventilated jacket. Now I currently am using the Sting Stopper from Foxhound. It's a wonderful jacket, $159. But I've had mine for 2 years and it still is working just perfectly fine. It's pretty tough. There's many brands that just get you a nice ventilated jacket, whatever that is. I would say don't get the cheap, little thin cloth ones, and they do okay, but man, they're hot down here. They don't, that you think they're thinner, but they are just so hot. And then of course the hive tool. I personally like the Hive Alive hive tool. I think it's a little more expensive, probably. It's but it's thicker. It's got a hook on it, and it's got the traditional, I don't know what you call that, where it hooks over, a J hook, but also it's just a standard. Comes out like this and angles down. It's got like a 90-degree, so you can get a J hook. It's got both kinds. It's got both, and so I like that. I don't personally care for the J hook ones that are flat, because the main reason is, number one, if you got to kind of push them to break the boxes apart, they'll hurt your palm. Number two, they can drop down between the frames sometimes if you're not careful. I've had that happen, but that's just my personal preference. So hive tool and a suit, protective gear, like you said, and a smoker. Once again, I've had cheap smokers, and I bought the Daydance smoker about 3 years ago, and that joker, I spent abused, and it's still just plugging along. So I spent like, what, $10-15 more for the Daydance, and it's lasted. It's like you can almost, probably couldn't run a truck over it, but you can do a lot of things to that thing, and it's all bent up, and it still works just fine. I've had it, I think it's my third or even maybe my fourth year with that thing, probably my third year. But really, all you need, protective gear, smoker, hive tool to work bees. Just to get in them and work them and see what's going on, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. So you don't need all the little stuff. A lot of times, that's what you think. You're like, oh, I'm gonna need this to mark my. When you're actually in there and you actually, I guess, figure stuff out, you're not worried about the little stuff. I guess you're worried about looking for the stuff you're supposed to be looking for, and a lot of times a hive tool will do the job to do that. And if you don't have a hive tool, there's probably a lot of other stuff you could substitute for one. But I recommend a hive tool. So yeah,
I've used a Phillips screwdriver for a hive tool because my hive tool kit wasn't in there, and you know what? It wasn't ideal, but it worked fine. But I mean, these guys have absolutely nailed it. Even Bruce kind of elaborated on a few things. You really don't need much. And I'll be honest with you, we have a couple of brushes. I don't use them. I would say if that's your means to get a few bees off there, I mean, that works. I mean, it pisses them off if that's what you're trying to do. The brush does. I'll say you'll have much better if you have a little bitty battery powered blower. If you need to push them out of something, that will make them less agitated than a brush rolling them across the frame. But so, I don't know. I agree. Hive tool, good smoker, and I agree with Bruce on the on the smoker. I'm kind of a guy that I like to buy American made if I can. There's times that I don't buy American stuff, like a hive, like a queen clip or something. Yeah, they're probably Chinese made, but I don't know. I like to support the guys that are supporting us. When getting frames and stuff. Michael at 21st Bee, he supports everybody in here. Other guys that have been in the chat, other American made vendors and stuff. You're might spend a little bit more, but let's be honest, the cost of production here is higher than it is in other countries, so it doesn't need to be elaborate. By all means, you don't have to buy kits. Make sure you have some sort of basic equipment. I do like the wax tip stuff, like Bruce said. I'm protecting my investment. A decent hive tool, a good smoker, and whatever protective gear you see a need for. I like the Comfort Pro stuff. It's lightweight, and I wear mine a lot, and I've had it now. The one I'm using, I've had now for 2 years, and I literally just changed the veil because I washed it, and there was a little bitty split in the veil, so I put a different veil on it, honestly. But to each their own when it comes to that sort of stuff. I like the Comfort Pro suits. They're lightweight, breathable, and reasonably priced. And like I said, I use mine sometimes 10, 12 hours a day doing cutouts and everything else. So it works well. So whatever you feel comfortable in with your PPE, if it's a veil and gloves, great. If it's a veil, if you like to get stung in the face, go without a veil. I don't know. So, you can keep it simple. You don't need all the tech stuff. Most of that's just white noise.
All right, so that brings us to another point, Tom, and I would recommend for anyone that's brand new. Okay, so there seems to be a I don't know what it is, like a pecking order or something in the beekeeping world, where that people think that if you don't wear protective gear, then you're a better beekeeper.
Yeah.
I will say this. This is what I will say. I would say when you're a new beekeeper, go ahead and get the protective gear.
Yeah.
I don't know if you need a whole suit, but if you think you're getting more comfortable with that, that's fine. But just put it on. What I do when I show up in the bee yard, I almost always just suit up. I put on my jacket. I put on my gloves. Now I'm actually using the gloves now. I use the Apis Tactical. I do have the black Venom Steel Nitro gloves I use occasionally if I need better dexterity. For most of what I'm doing now, I use the Apis Tactical gloves. But just I try, like, I've just got a veil I put over my head if they're super calm on a beautiful spring day when everything's happy, the bees are buzzing, the birds are chirping, and everything's happy. Occasionally I can do a little bit with that, but I usually just put on the jacket, and then if they start stinging my hands, I always have everything available. So I don't. To me, there is no. Just because you can work your bees without gloves or without jacket, to me that doesn't make you a better beekeeper. I do think if you just have a hive or two, if you can be super calm and gentle and kind of slow around your bees, it is better. But as much as I have to do, I just have to be honest. I can't always be super slow, and I got to just get it done sometimes. And so, that may agitate the bees a little bit too. But just don't think that you're a bad beekeeper because you wear protective gear, because you get stung if you don't have it on. So many people just they buy into the notion that if you wear protective gear, you're just not a good beekeeper. You're too mean, or you're too fast. You're just not good at it. But I completely disagree with that.
Right. I agree with you, Bruce. I'm 100% with what you're saying.
Oh yeah.
And like I said, you can show up, you can try it with nothing, but just have the stuff available. So, and just don't judge yourself as being bad if you feel like you're more comfortable. Personally, I could probably work my bees some without it, but I'm just more comfortable with it. I think, and the bees can sense that if I'm calmer with them not in my face all the time, then that probably helps too. So I think it's just kind of silly. People, there's like this notion that if you wear protective gear, you're just not, you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, 100%.
I remember when I got my first package, I didn't even have a bee suit or a veil of any kind at the time. So what I did was I got into some coveralls and a mosquito little thing. It looked like a beekeeping veil. It was just green, and it was for mosquitoes. And I put that around, and I was in coveralls, and I put my first package in and didn't get a single sting. So
yeah,
that was something to remember.
Jay, I'm pretty sure you're more of a man than I am, buddy. I think you're one above me. I'm down here, built like a girl, and you're just a little above me there, buddy.
Oh no, I think it might be like you remember the old cartoons where like Bugs Bunny could defy gravity because he never studied the law of gravity. He never studied law. Sometimes what you don't know, it's like, just make it work.
That's right. Absolutely. I like it. You know what? Perseverance, buddy.
Yeah.
If that's what you got, use it.
Yeah.
If you don't have the funds and it's not available to you for whatever reason, don't go buy the crazy expensive stuff. If it works for you, great.
Just do what's comfortable. Yeah, do. That's true. Like, the first bee jacket I have was one of the thin cloth ones, and it was fine, for just a few colonies. And they will get you occasionally, but they'll get me occasionally through my jacket now. But so it's not like it's, but it was just so hot. But anyway,
yeah, they can about sting you through anything given the opportunity.
That's right.
Yeah, so,
if they're mad enough, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, they can catch another gear and make it interesting.
My mentor, he didn't usually wear protect. He had his jacket, but he didn't hardly ever wear it. And they'd be stinging him on the face, and he'd just grab the bee and just scrape the stinger out and keep going and smoke his face real good. And didn't even bother him. But he would, if they were really kind of tested, he had a little mosquito net he put over his head.
Mm.
And that's why he didn't care if they got him anywhere else. But if they were moving bees or whatever, obviously he would just put the jacket on or whatever. But most of the time he didn't wear anything. They just sting him right in the face, and he didn't care. He'd just reach up there and just scratch the stinger away and just keep on working, smoke his face. So it's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like that. I'd rather,
Yeah.
and it doesn't hurt. Honestly, when I get stung in the face, it's not the worst thing in the world, but I just am more comfortable with them, with the suit, with the jacket on. I just am. So that's what I do.
Well, Bruce, I mean, I agree with that. The one thing I'll point out is most of the time those bees are going to go for your eyes. And if they do happen to get your eye, that could be a problem, so you don't want to be blind from trying to be a tough guy. So at least protect the face,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Agree.
Yep. All right. Well, for the last question, most likely of the night, is going to be about a mentor. Do you think it is necessary to go into beekeeping with a mentor? Obviously it'll help a bunch, but is it, I guess, necessary?
Yeah. Go ahead,
Tom,
Bruce.
why don't you tell me? Okay.
I would say it depends. I would say it depends on the person. So, necessary, probably not. A good idea, depending on how fast you learn. Yes. So Melissa and I never had any mentors, but Melissa and I also took several classes from what I would consider good and experienced beekeepers. Now, I didn't agree necessarily with everything they had to say, and that's great. That's fine. Not a big deal. Basically Melissa was my mentor. She's the brains of the operation, and I'm the mediocre muscle, if that makes sense. Okay. So no, I don't know. I'm gonna stick with that answer, honestly. To each their own. If you're a person who can learn very quickly and adapt and don't mind taking a little bit of loss and such, I mean, I don't think you need a mentor, but I would suggest and say that you better ask a lot of questions, because the reality is you're probably going to have more failures if not. So that's my answer.
Keith.
Yeah, I think that post that you popped up there of Brad's, I kind of go along with that one. What was it he said? A mentor is mandatory. It doesn't have to be a formal one, but you need to have somebody or a community you can consult. I like the way he put that. I mean, I think it's good if you've got somebody that can come to your yard, work the bees with you, show you how things work. This is brood. This is, whatever. But if you don't have that, I think it's very helpful to have somebody that you can talk to. I've got about 6 folks that I help hands-on. I actually go to their yard and we work the hives together. But I've probably got that many other folks that I'm their consultant. They'll send me a message. They'll send me a picture. They'll just have a question. What do you think about this? I think it's XYZ. What do you think? And somebody just to bounce their questions off of. And you get fewer and fewer questions from them because they start figuring it out. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the way it's supposed to work. But we've talked about it before on the chats, as far as I've had to talk to you, Jace, about curbing your how did I put it, your young exuberance. I can't remember how I put it that time, but if you watch too much YouTube and you believe everything that you see, you'll go crazy, because we all don't do things the same way. We all don't do things at the same time. So you can't do everything that you see or hear from a group. It's still good to have certain individuals, people in the neighborhood, people close to your geographic area. They're handy to have. What do you think, Bruce?
Yeah, for sure. I do think, yeah, if you watch too many YouTube videos, like you can learn what not to do, but at least learn how not to be too crazy by not doing what I do. But anyway, I think a mentor is critical. I had my first, I,
Yeah.
I was just kind of excited enough that I might have been able to figure it out on my own, but I had the guy that sold me my first bees, he was very patient with me, and he helped me. He didn't overstep, but he would tell me what I needed to do, and then I would do my own thing, and then I would learn, and ultimately I would listen to him, and I would have better success. And over time, though, I began to kind of shift, and I did depend on YouTube a little bit more, and I still continue to consult with him. And over time, I've got so many tremendous friends in the YouTube community that I've consulted with all of you, all three of you guys, both of you guys, and both Keith and Tom over time, plus a lot of other people all over the world, really. And so, but when it comes right down to local, here, what I need to do, I've got a couple of guys. My initial mentor, I'm not even sure if he has any bees anymore. He kind of medically kind of retired from beekeeping himself, I think. But I have, there's a local commercial young guy. He's in his 30s, early 30s. That is Tyler Walker here. He's started keeping bees like in 2018, 2019, and now he's a full blown commercial beekeeper. And if I really have a question with my operation, I'll ask him, and he can give me some great ideas. I've got another guy that's like a banker, but he's got like 500 or 600 colonies, and I consult with him sometimes. So it kind of shifted, but I always have people that I can ask. I ask Greg Burns a lot of questions. I've got a lot of people that I kind of bounce ideas off of, and we bounce. My Rusty, the guy that we harvest honey with, we're always bouncing ideas off each other. So I think it's critical and very important to have a mentor. And people do reach out to me quite often, and I try to help. I just am so busy. I have a hard time doing a lot of hands-on mentoring. If you come to my bee yard and you're a brand new hobbyist, it's a little bit overwhelming, I think, because I've just got 30, 40, 50 colonies in a bee yard. And sometimes I don't know how to really mentor someone who's a beginner, although I will help. And I'll try to go to people's bee yards occasionally, but I'm just so busy. I'm not the best mentor probably, but I do try to help out as much as I can. Hopefully the channel helps too. And I hope to retire one of these days before too long, and maybe then I can spend a little more time helping people out. But I do think that a mentor is critical. I do think you can make it. I saw Grayson in here earlier. But now Grayson says he hasn't had a mentor, but he watches all the videos, and he's involved with a lot of the chats, and he learns a lot, I think, from other people. And he's reached out to me a couple of times, and we've done a couple of live chats together. And so, and I'm right here close. Grayson's probably about 40 or 50 miles from me, just a little bit north of me here. And so I also reach out to Lisa. Just a lot. I reach out to people across the world, and then when I really want to hone it in on local stuff, I'll reach out to Tyler Walker, Rusty, and just Lisa, people right here locally that are having success, and get ideas from them. So create a community around yourself where you can ask questions. Now there are times, I think, when people are completely isolated. They really just don't have anybody locally, and then you just got to kind of try to figure it out on your own. And that's really hard, I think. I had a cousin in Wyoming. I think she's in Wyoming or Montana. I think she's in Wyoming, who got bees last year. And I don't know if they had a mentor, and I think they struggle a little bit. And this year they have a mentor, and apparently they're doing a lot better. So that's kind of fun. And the last qualification I would say for a mentor is there are different kinds of mentors. You have mentors that, that may not have healthy bees, and you have mentors that have live bees. So I would recommend you try to find someone that keeps bees alive, because there are all kinds of people. Now, this is something of kind of word of warning to even myself at times. There's so many people that have YouTube channels out there. There's so many people that are giving advice with bees, and some of them, when you listen to what they say, it's almost like they don't even understand basics of bees, but they're out there trying to teach other people what to do.
Agreed.
And unfortunately, some of those people are extremely opinionated, like they got it all figured out. And so the best thing to do, especially if you have a mentor locally, is to find someone that is not super cocky or arrogant, and someone that's willing that actually has live bees. That's the thing. Like, you don't want to go to someone who loses all their bees every year, because they're probably not going to give you the best advice. And so that's one thing that I would try to kind of be careful of. It's hard to do that sometimes, but I would be careful to try and find someone that actually has live bees in boxes that they can overwinter, a good number of them every year. So that's kind of, try they, what I'm trying to say. There are people out there who put themselves out there as experts when they really don't even know a lot of the basics. And so I would be careful about that.
It would probably be better to not have a mentor going into it and just do a lot of research and have a bad mentor.
But yeah, I agree with that. And you don't always know. Like, you don't always know when you're brand new. You don't know. Just because someone has bees down the road doesn't mean that they're. And most people are really conscientious. They're trying really hard. I think most people, even those that are trying really hard, but you got to be careful about those who act as if they know everything. You know, you want to find someone who has the heart of a teacher, who's really willing to work with you and help you walk through things and answer questions. And like my mentor was that way. He would tell me, he's like, Bruce, you got to take care of mites and beetles. And after about a year, I'm like, I want to go treatment free. And he's like, okay, but you've got to take care of mites and beetles. And over about the 3 or 4 years down the road, 2 or 3 years in, I was like, well, maybe I'll try what Dave told me. And then when I did it, I had more success. And he also told me another thing that he told me, he told me, I think it was my first year, or maybe my second year, I kept telling him I was queenless. I'm like, I lost my queen. I don't know where my queen is. So I'd buy queens from him. And he charged me 20 or 25 bucks at the time. It was several years ago, like 13, 14 years ago. And so I bought all these queens from him. He'd say, now, Bruce, you just need to wait a couple of weeks. And if you don't have a queen, if you don't see anything in the hives, then you might need a queen. No, David, I'm queenless. I know I am. So I bought multiple queens from him. And that got to be expensive. So a couple of years down the road, I decided to just do what he said. And I noticed that about probably, what do you guys think, about 80, 90% of the time, maybe more, the bees got it figured out. There's going to be a queen in there. Yep. Just give them a couple of weeks and you'll see the milk brood, you see the eggs, and they got them a new queen, even if you can't find her. So just some things like that. People that are willing to let you do what you want to do, let you make mistakes without, being mean to you, but also teach you and kind of lead you by the hand. That's the kind of mentor I needed. And I think that's the most effective mentor you can have.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Somebody that's trying to caution you before you're spending money, aimlessly. And I've done that before several times too. People are immediately like, I need a queen. Hey, Tom, do you have any queens? And I'm like, either yes or no, or, hey, I've got a mated. I have a virgin queen, whatever. And then I'm like, are you sure that you don't, like, send me a few pictures? And sometimes that's really hard. You get 1 or 2 pictures and you're basically seeing a little small glimpse on it. And you're like, well, you're really not seeing the whole hive. You're not feeling what's going on. You're not hearing it. All those things can like clue you in pretty quickly. And then you're like, well, it's like, well, it's really hard to say. I'm trying to make a judgment call off of a few pictures or what you think you saw, right? Which sometimes can be difficult too. So, and I'm like, I'm not sure. I would try. It's like, if you really want to see if they're queenless or not, just pull a frame of eggs out of the other one, throw it in there, and call me back in 4 days. If there's cells in there, yeah, you need a queen. If not, there's a queen there, but they may have shut down for a reason, maybe limited resources coming in. Maybe it was too hot. Maybe any number of reasons, right? So, yeah, that's definitely good advice, Bruce.
Be patient.
That's right. Well, I think it was my second year, whenever it was. First of all, I went through that first winter, got all 6 colonies. I bought two more, and then made 2 splits he told me kind of how to do that. Made through that first winter with 6 colonies. So you know what? After I made through that first winter with 6 colonies, I had it all figured out. I knew, but then they all started swarming because I had no idea how to even what that meant. I had no idea what I was seeing when they were building up. So I started catching swarms and grew up that way. But one thing that I still remember, it may have been that second year. I think I just had him on the phone. He actually came out and looked at my hives a couple of times, but I think I just had him on the phone. And I'm like, when I was thinking I was queenless, and I was looking in there and I saw the milky stuff in the bottom, I call it milk brood, the milky in the bottom of the cells. I'm like, it looks kind of like milk down there. And he's like, that means you got a queen. I had no idea that was a queen. I didn't know. I didn't even know if I could even really see the eggs very well that first year or two. I didn't know what I was looking for. But he was very patient with me. I'd go out to his place and he'd show me things, and he was very, very patient with me. And he was really good to kind of take me under his wing. But, I pretty much bought all my stuff from him for all the equipment, all the frames, all the bees. I just I wanted to give him the business as well. But he was just so, so helpful for me. But it was not at all. He actually didn't contact me. If I would contact him if I needed anything, and he didn't breathe down my neck. He just helped me when I needed it. He got me through a couple of crises. I remember wasn't too many years ago. The first year I did pollination, I think I was having some issues. The bees came back and they were sitting out on a watermelon field, and I just wasn't sure what I was seeing. I was having some problems, and he actually came out there and went through my colonies with me. We had a couple that were drone layers, and he helped me, or I think they were laying workers. He helped me figure out what to do with that, and just went through them with me. Now I think I did pay him a little bit to do that because it was a long ways away, but he was kind of, he had some financial issues, but he was just a great help, and he was just perfect for what I needed. And find you someone like that, you'll be in good shape.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I want to add something that you had mentioned there, Bruce, about, sometimes the YouTubers, or not just YouTubers, other people have not good advice. And if you're an inexperienced beekeeper, you may not understand that. But what I would suggest is try to learn a little bit about whomever is actually giving you advice, for one. And I would say, and this is kind of a statement that holds true for a lot of life choices. Don't take advice from somebody that's not where you want to be, or is not going in the direction that you want to be. If this person can't for the life of them keep bees alive, I'm not saying they're a bad beekeeper. I'm just going to suggest and say, I would probably very cautiously take advice from them. Again, bees can be difficult, but I think that was something that,
Another little bit of advice I would have for people, and this is not just when it comes to mentors, I would say period. This is just my personality. Never expect anything for free. A lot of mentors offer their service. They want to help you for free. And like for equipment, for example, never expect a mentor just to give you something. Never expect them to give you hives, bees, equipment. Lots of times mentors will be willing to help out, or my mentor, I bought pretty much everything I got, but he would sell me it for a really good price. But and it's a good idea, especially if they have to travel a ways to kind of help you out. Just offer something. Many times they'll say, "No, don't worry about it," but just don't ever. The expectations are important, and just don't expect people just to do stuff for you. Always offer. Even if you could even say, "Hey, I'll come help you work. I'll work in your bee yard or whatever." Just offer something in return. And I think that's one thing I do like about the beekeeping community is most people are like that. They don't expect things. But there's nothing that turns me off more than someone that just has expectations of me just doing something for free for them. Most of the time I do a lot of free stuff for a lot of people, but it's not because they demand. If someone demands that from me, then likely I'm not going to do it. So that's just a little word of advice I think for myself and for anyone is just be willing to have some skin in the game, whether it be working for them, whether it be paying them a little something, just something. Make sure that you make it worth their while to help you. And many times, if you have that type of attitude, they'll do it for free, or they'll be willing to help you out. But just don't. Yeah. I just can't stand it when people just demand that you help them or do things for free. That's just that gets on my nerves, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
And so I try to be that way. I try to always offer to do whatever I can to, like I say, to either pay them or do whatever. I try to always there has to be something in it, an offering of something in it for them to make it worth their time.
Yeah, that's just the right thing to do. I agree with that.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we've hit just about every question I had. And so, I think I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. I just want to say thank you to everybody in the chats for being on here, and everybody on the screen to be on here, taking your time out of the night and coming on here to my live stream. And I think that's going to be it for this one. Anything else? Or do y'all think that's just about covered it?
I think you did great, Jace. That was you did a great job. Those were really good questions, appropriate questions, and you did a good job of controlling all of us guys that like to talk a lot. So you did
That's the hardest part, right, Bruce?
You did a good job. I mean, I went off on this big tangent when I first got on here that had nothing to do with the topic, but I just went off on this great big tangent. I had to show and tell my honey and all that kind of stuff. But you kept it. You were real good about not.
Yeah.
You were patient with me. All you guys were. But just appreciate all you guys. And Jace, I think you have a bright future. As long as beekeeping is something you love, just don't let what people say, don't let any failures that you might have or things that you consider to be failures stop you. Just it is, what's it that Bob Benny says, you have to be tenacious. And it's that way with anything in life. There's a lot of life lessons to be learned through bees, but with bees especially, you're going to lose some. You've already experienced that, and just get up off the ground and try again. If it's something now, if you decide you just don't want to do it, that's one thing. But if you really want to be successful, you can be. And even some of the very best beekeepers, big commercial beekeepers that have thousands of hives, a couple of years ago, some of them lost like 80% of their colonies, and they just bounced back. Some of them didn't, but a lot of them just bounced back, made splits, and now they're back rocking and rolling. So beekeeping is something that is extremely satisfying. It's something that can be extremely successful. You can do it for fun, or you can actually build it into a business at your age. There's no telling where I think Bob Benny was about 13 or 14 when he started. And so there's no telling where you can go with this thing if you want to, but just never hesitate to reach out. I think to any of us, I think Keith and Tom would say the same. Just reach out if you have any questions or any concerns, and email me. I can shoot you my phone number. I'll be glad to talk to you anytime. That's no problem. And appreciate you inviting me on tonight, Jace. It was fun.
Yep. Thank you for coming. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it for tonight. And yeah, should be doing some more pretty soon. But I don't know yet how consistent it's gonna be. But should be doing some more pretty soon. So
Great job,
with
man.
that being said, good night everybody, and thanks for coming on.
See y'all later.